What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode number 9 of the Run Your Race show. I am Akeem.
And I am Chanelle.
And if you have not already, before you even go anywhere, make sure you have liked, comment. Well, I'm not going to say comment later, but make sure that you subscribe to the channel and definitely share this with a friend. Before we get into the episode, how was the weekend for you?
It was good. I'm a little sore. We had a pretty intense workout on Friday. Make sure you watch our workout video. It's pretty entertaining. Then Friday we got to watch Iowa and UConn. Good game. Saturday we got our relaxation on again because we were very sore. And today, Sunday, a little church, another workout. We'll get a good session in, some Sunday dinner, and we'll watch South Carolina and Iowa. So it's been a great weekend.
It's been a great weekend. Let's get into things. We hope your weekend has been great as well, too. Let's get into things. Let's start with the world of track and field. There's always so many different levels. I think it's only right to start. Probably this is an exciting time to be in high school athletes. These athletes are on fire. What were some of the things that you saw this weekend for you that kind of stuck out to you?
Yeah, well, I want to take it to the Arcadia Invitational out in California. Big high school meet. You actually got to compete there. I never did. So I want to hear about that experience. What was it like coming down from Canada to California? What was the weather like, the track like, the atmosphere? How'd you run? Tell us a little bit about the Arcadia Invite.
I think I may not be the best example for things like in its entirety because it was a business for me. Like I came down a couple weeks before we were training in California. My group at the time, we always trained a couple weeks in different places.
Wait. You were in high school. So how'd you get to you're skipping class here?
No, it's usually like Arcadia was kind of like spring break for us up there.
Okay.
So we always went away like as soon as spring break started and we came down. And then I had the ACT to write because it was at this time where I was, trying to figure out how do I get down to America, and you had all these different things you had to take. So Arcadia for me, I didn't know about this meet. I just knew it was invite only. And if it's invite only, man, it's a pretty high prestigious thing. You don't just walk into parties; you got to get invited to them. And so I was running well. It was my first meet outdoors. I was excited just to be amongst the best there. So I wrote the ACT in the morning, and
it's funny how you say I wrote the ACC. We say we take the SAT. So just different vernacular.
Yeah. I wrote it. The ACT took me. I'm not gonna say I took it. It took me.
Okay. You wrote the ACT.
I wrote the ACT, and then 3 hours later, I'm warming up for this meet. So not the best situation to be in because you're sitting for hours on hours on hours on hours, and then you're expecting your body to be able to fire like that. Mm-hmm. Even when the body is young, you can't escape everything like that.
And mentally drained, I bet. It's a hard test.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
push through that. That's what you do.
I think sometimes you just don't think about it. You just do it. Yeah. And so for me at that time, I was like, man, okay, that's done. Now let me see if I can lace up these Americans. And so that was the plan. So I remember it being packed. I remember it being loud. And I remember seeing like Cal Poly everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I remember it was just loud. Warming up, there was so many different teams and stuff everywhere. And I was like, yo, the grass was a little bit patchy. I'm like, they didn't cut the grass. I almost missed a step. But I remember having a good warm up. And I remember having a good warm up and feeling good. I remember doing a block start. And as a sprinter, there are certain things that we do throughout the process that we kind of feel good. I remember doing a block start, and I was just like, man, like, yo, that felt good. Mm-hmm. And so felt good, but the race wasn't good. I was winning the race to about 60 meters. I probably had the greatest start of my life. I was getting ready to roll. But at 50 meters, like I felt a little twinge in my hamstring. And I was like, I'd never really done anything like that before. I'm like, surely I'm not going to pull myself. I'm rolling too much right now. But felt it again at about 55, felt it again at 60, and then there's the video shows like I'm running and then I like pop up, but I pulled my hamstring and tried to finish the race. And so I was hobbling. I hobbled my way to like 5th place. I think around like 1070, but I think 1060 something won the race. I was definitely on pace to run 10:3 that day. Absolutely believe that. But from that race, one of my teammates at Alabama later on, shout out to DeAndre Basson. But it was a great meet. I just wish I wouldn't have gotten hurt. I would have been able to enjoy it a little bit more. But I remember being packed. I remember being stacked. I remember fast times. I mean, this was, Ashton Purvis, Bryce Chanelle, like these. I remember I was like, yo, I've never seen these times in person. So that's my remembrance of it. I didn't know the magnitude of it. And it seems like it's still a big meet. And I'm sure, if you weren't prepping to compete at Olympic trials at 16, you would have been there too.
Oh, man. Well, thank you for that. I think it's a meet I always wanted to go to. I don't remember. It's been so long. I don't remember why I did it. But like you said, it's still a big meet. The biggest highlight that we saw, and there's so many that we could name, but shout out to Ben Harris, the freshman from Long Beach Poly. He won the 100-meter in 10:38. A slightly windy reading, I think it was like 2.1. It's nothing. Legal wind is 2.0. So I'm almost speechless. As a freshman, 10.38. I mean, you can tell more as a sprinter how fast that truly is. But yeah, I'm blown away.
Yeah, when you were telling me, as I was cutting up the chicken, getting ready for, my world famous barbecue chicken, as you were cutting up the chicken, I was like, wait, what did you say he just ran? And I was like, wait, what grade is this kid in? And yeah, 10:38, 2.1. Okay, you put that at 2.0. You could say that's 10:39, 10:40. That's an amazing time for a 9th grader. I'm still in the notion of in Canada, like we don't start high school till the 10th grade. Okay. You guys start in the 9th grade here. So to me, I'm thinking, wait, this is a junior high kid.
Oh, okay. When you heard 9th grade.
Yeah, running this time. And, we watched some of the interviews and he's very well spoken and his mind is focused. And it's hard not to root for this young man when you hear him speak and when you see how calm and how appreciative he is of his team and his parents and this support system. There's a target on your back now, man. You are no longer a hidden secret, which is great because it means that you are now going to be able to ride this momentum and to carry this momentum, and I believe that he will, man. 10:38 as a 9th grader, Ben Harris. Take a stand, my brother. Take a stand. That's an amazing time.
Yeah, shout out to him. We will be following him.
Yes.
Also, we got to shout out Skylar Franklin, 16 years old, a sophomore, I believe, 51.66 in the 400 meter, not at Arcadia, at a meet in Florida. Again, wow, 16 years old.
Yeah, I saw her in lane 2 or 3. So she didn't
watched it.
Yeah.
Was I sleeping?
You were doing something. But she finished very, very strongly. She's got a great top end endurance. She holds her technique well, man. This is, again, is 51.6. Wow. Just amazing to see these times happening.
Yeah, and then the other one I wanted to highlight was Quincy Wilson. We've said his name many times, but we said it for the 400 meter, right? But he actually ran the 800 meter this weekend. Probably just wanted a little break from the 4.
That's a break, right?
I don't know why he didn't go down to maybe the 100 or 200, but we trust his coaches, right? And he went out and ran a 150.44 in the 800s, US number 2 right now for high schoolers. So it just shows his range, and it's really exciting.
Let me ask you this: is that normal? Because no, like in sprinting, like track, short sprints. If you run 10:20, you could go on your calculator 10:20 times 2, and to some that would get you your 200 time or somewhere in that ballpark. Obviously, it's not that easy. but the man ran 45.9 or 45.19, and then to come back and run 150. Like, is that normal? Like, is that?
I mean, there a lot of you more so see 800-meter runners who go down and run a very fast 400.
Yeah.
A thing Mo. Prime example. She has that ability. I just don't think people were really aware that he had that ability to go up. I think that was a little surprising. Maybe not so surprising to him and his team, but someone like me who really understands the 8 and appreciates it, like, I want to see what his training is like, because it's not easy to go up from the 4 to the 800. It's very, very hard. So shout out to him and his team. That's what really shows where his endurance is at and where his fitness is at.
I barely wanted to go up to the 2. You know what I'm saying? So don't get me wrong. Like, I like the 200. I don't want people to come on here and say, Akeem, what's up with the 2? No, I like the 2, just not as much as the 1. But before we go to the collegiate side, I also think we want to add Adija Hodge as well, too. 11.19 and 22.85 out there in Miami. So she did the double, you know. This is impressive. So a lot of great high school talent, a lot of great high school athletes, a lot of fast times. It just makes it even that much greater because, you know, it's Olympic years. So there's that addedness. They probably don't really care about that, except for Quincy Wilson. He seems like he cares about that a whole lot. But it just brings more to the atmosphere. And it kind of, you know, if you're a pro and you're looking down, you're just like, whoa, this young 16 years old is on my hip. I gotta pull it together. I gotta pull through. So if there are any high school times that we have missed, you know, we tried to cover not just the track side, but the field side. But those are some of the stuff that stuck out to us. Let us know if there was more out there. What stuck out to you this weekend? Definitely let us know in the comment section below. We got to go to the professional. We got to go to the pros. Not a whole bunch of just professional meets, you know, guys and girls who have contracts and this and that. But there was a meet in Miramar. What did you think about the meet, right? Because it was kind of bittersweet.
Yeah. Well, this was a predominant sprint. The highest race was 600 meters. Yes. So it was a sprint meet, and it's been around for some years now. And we usually see some pretty fast times. It's where a lot of sprinters decide to open up their season. And unfortunately this year, I think the wind put a damper on seeing any fast marks really. But it was just good to see a professional meet of just pros, not having to go to a collegiate meet. I hope they got paid for this meet, right? So it was good to see. I'm glad they covered it on YouTube, not on TV, but we'll get there, right? Baby steps. So I thought for me it was just good to watch some pros compete, show up and compete and start their season. And although we didn't see crazy times, what stood out to you?
Yeah. And this goes to a question that I want to ask you as well, too, because, you know, I don't always know how it works out with the weather and the terrain when it comes to other events than the sprints. But this being a sprint heavy meet, it's bittersweet because you've traveled all this way if you're not in Florida, you know, and you expect the wind to be at your back a little bit. Like, you come here to run fast times. And when you don't run fast times, man, you got to change your perspective on it, right? Because now it's like you have to get ready to compete against the best. And so for me, I thought Melissa Jefferson, she ran well. I was really impressed with Courtney Lindsay, right? You have Johan Blake in that race, Aaron Brown, Akeem Blake, and so many others. So when the wind and the weather isn't the greatest, execution is the most important thing. Can you compete under the pressure? Can you handle the pressure? Because everybody's dealing with the same thing. But can you execute your race? And it's psychologically, you know, you may not have run the fastest. I mean, 10:28, negative 2.4. Turn that around, you know, that's close to 10:0, maybe even sub 9 or maybe even sub 10. So I think psychologically it was a great win for him because of who was in the race and how he executed. So not a lot of crazy fast times. Kenny Benerick as well too. Christian Coleman, Both of those guys ran sub 21, negative 2.8. But you have to get ready to roll with anything.
With any conditions, you're saying?
Yeah, because in Europe, especially
rain.
Yeah, you compete in the UK. Like you just never know.
That's so true. That's so true. Because I was wondering, I was like, well, are they going to look up at those times and be upset? So, as a sprinter, when it is windy like that and the time isn't as nearly as fast as you had hoped for, you're saying you just you got to take it with a grain of salt and just be like, well, it was windy. It is what it is. But like you said, Melissa Jefferson, Courtney Lindsay, they beat solid fields, and so that's a win. That's a win.
Yeah, some meets are psychological wins, and sometimes that can be even greater than the physical wins. It's a great win if the weather isn't on your side, but you can psychologically still have that, man, I beat you before. I can beat you again.
That's good.
And so that is the best thing that you can do when the weather might not be on your side.
Shafiqua Maloney in the 600 was the highlight of the meet, I believe. She got out, catch me if you can type style, ran 123 and some change, was 4 seconds faster than a solid field, a great field. So she has to, 123 right now in April in the 600. That's fast, and so she's just continuing off of a very, very good indoor season. Excited to see how her season progresses. And then I was also just happy to see Britton Wilson back out there overcoming injury. It's always great to see athletes overcome that physical, mental, emotional battle that comes with injuries. And so to see her out there take the win in the 400, 51:07 was her finishing time. So really, really happy to see her back out competing. And then changing from Miramar to a meet in South Carolina, I believe it was a collegiate meet. But Abby Steiner, she actually trains in South Carolina and opened up her season there. And it's just, again, good to see her back. Another athlete who's overcoming injury. And so 51:58 as a season opener in the 400. Kudos to her. So yeah, just I have a soft spot for athletes overcoming injuries. So just really happy to see those women back at it, and we'll definitely be following how their season progresses. I think Jasmine Camacho Quinn was back. We had a Navia Battle raced. I can't remember where. She ran a solid 100 meter. So yeah, like you said, it's just good to see these athletes showing up, competing, and we'll see them much, much more as the season continues.
What are some times or some jumps or some throws that stuck out to you this weekend? Let us know in the comments section below, which leaves us to our performers of the week. Would you like to start us off for this one?
Yeah. We didn't really cover much collegiately this show because there wasn't really much happening on the collegiate side this past weekend. But my performer of the week is a collegiate. She's from the University of Oregon, a shot putter, and she now is the collegiate record holder. Wow. Shout out to Jada Ross. She threw 1973. So I know, again, don't know much about shot put, but I do know the closer you get to 20 meters, the more world class you are considered. So shout out to her, Jada Ross, the new collegiate record holder in the shot put. She is my performer of the week.
That's probably got to feel good going into the right time, as NCAA's, they're still a ways away, but you want to build forward momentum and see the fruits of your labor progressing a little bit. So shout out to her. Congratulations on your new collegiate record. For me, I'm going to a guy who isn't even in college yet, not even thinking about college. I'm talking about Mr. Ben Harris. Again, 9th grade, 10-3, just amazing to see. Not to mention the pressure of that meet, So for me, that was the performer of the week for me, man. I really like this young man, and I've only heard him speak through interviews. Never met the young man, but man, I great potential. You keep it up, Mr. Harris, man. Keep doing your thing. If you have a performer of the week, let us know in the comment section below, and let us know why they are your performer of the week. Throughout the track and field season, during my time, man, your time, you thinking about a meet, you're excited about a meet, and you go online and you look up the start list and you see, oh man, this person's going to be here. And then a couple days before, they aren't there, they pull out or something happens. And it always makes you say, like, yo, what's going on with this person? When athletes pull out of meets, because, you know, from the casual supporter of track and field, you know, they're angry. So what could be some of the reasons why they would pull out a meet? What were some of the reasons you pulled out a meet, or have you ever pulled out of a meet?
I can't remember if I did. It had to be injury, you know, so just something happened. And that would probably be, in my opinion, the number one reason why athletes, doesn't even have to be a major injury. It could be, you know, something's feeling a little off and I don't want to risk it because this is an Olympic year. So I think this year, especially, you're going to have athletes not take any risk. If they feel the slightest of pain, it's just not worth it, especially this early in the season. So that's why you're going to see some of these, especially these bigger names, the ones with more pressure on their back, the ones where they show up, they're expected to win. Well, I'm not going to show up if I feel something in my body. So that would be probably, for me, the number one reason why you'll see some athletes pull out so close to the meet.
Yeah, I think that's probably the number one reason. I'm going to go a different way, man. I think the money ain't right. You didn't pay me. Like, I think that's part of it too. No, this is an Olympic year, and the reason, obviously, you know, why we're stressing it is because there's a lot that comes with this. This is a very massive financial gain for people, right? And so it has to be right. And so I think sometimes people pull out because, yo, I want more money.
And kudos to them, because there's not a lot of money in track, and when people know their worth and they're like, I'm not coming, that's not enough, I'm not mad at you, because they do deserve more. And so, again, we want to see the stars run, but they're not going to risk it if they're feeling something in their body. And then, like you said, they're not going to show up if the money's not right. So good point.
I once saw someone who was supposed to compete. Usain Bolt said, I actually want to race at this meet. They kicked that man out of his lane.
Yeah, of course.
Bolt was in that lane.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Cutthroat.
You know, it's so like you hear stories, but there is a bunch of truth to them. So injuries, not paying me, and maybe I don't want to travel. I don't want to travel that far ananymore.
Yeah, changed my mind.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
committed to this a month ago, but now,
yeah,
you know,
I'm not feeling it. I actually want to stay stateside.
Yeah,
you know, so those are probably some of the reasons why, you know, your favorite sprinters, athletes, throwers, they may not go through with what they said they were going to come through with. You know, things got to be right. And that's just not just physically, you know, business is business as well, too.
That's good.
That's some of the reasons. If you think there are some reasons, maybe a little conspiracy theory going on, you let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. It made me think of, as we come down to the final stretch here, the Run Your Race, the final stretch. That's kind of nice. I like the way I said that. The Run Your Race, the part of the show, pulling out of meets. The last thing I said was, you may just not want to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. So on the days when you don't want to do it, you don't feel like training, you don't feel like running, there are no sick days in professional sports, especially in track and field. You sick, you got to go. So what do you do on the days when you didn't feel like training? What would be some of those reasons why you didn't feel like training or competing? Mm-hmm. What were some of those reasons, and how did you combat those reasons to execute and do what you got to do?
Well, I think there's this misconception that professional athletes wake up every day excited to get out the door and go train. Like, no, we're human beings and we don't always feel like training. So when you say, what are some of those reasons? I just didn't feel like it. You know, I'm tired. You know, maybe a little bit under the weather. But it always came down to remembering my why. And my why was pretty simple. I wanted to be the best that I could be. I wanted to get the most out of my gift. That was my why. And so all I had to do was recall that and say, you can't say you want to be the best that you want to be and not get out the door and go train. So for me, having a strong why was my everything. It's what got me going, even on the days when I didn't feel like it. So that would be my biggest advice. You got to have a strong why. You just have to. So
yeah, I think anybody, and I was always a little bit envious of these people who woke up and said, man, I can't wait to train today. Every single day, like one day you never wanted to not train, like you were never sore to that point. I was to that point, but for me, I never really focused too much about how I feel. Because when you focus about, when you put your focus on about how you feel all the time, man, you kind of feel your way out of great meets and great sessions. Because some of the times I felt my most sore and just felt off were usually some of my best races. So you can't always pay attention to how you feel. You talked about your why. I think that's a great reminder, because results don't care about feelings. Are you going to get it done or are you not? Execution doesn't care about feelings. Are you going to execute or not? You training to be better and being the best that you can be doesn't care about how you feel. It's, are you going to show up and give your best that you have for that day? That's all that matters. You know, I kind of say, you know, it's, you're not going to be, you look at it as like a phone charger, right? If your phone's charged to 100%, you could leave the house for hours and not worry about a single thing. But that battery dies a little bit. But regardless if the battery is at 100% or 1%, it still works the same. So every day you may not be feeling 100%, but maybe your new 100% is 50%
for that day.
And you just got to give what you got. And so you can't really focus too much about how you feel, man, because feelings are fickle. They come and they go. But if you remember what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, where you're trying to go, and remembering that your feelings, are you going to show up or are you going to feel? I'm not saying you can't feel down. You can't feel discouraged. You will feel those things. Track and field is a lot of ebbs and flows. Sports in general, life in general is like that. But I'm just saying you have to show up with what you got and give everything that you got with what you have and what's in front of you, what's inside of you. You're 50% on a Saturday. That might be enough because Monday was hard, you know, so you, that's how kind of we got through it. And it's still stuff that I think we practice to this day. What are some ways that have helped you in your life? What are some ways that, you know, kind of give you that energy to keep pushing when you may not be feeling like it? Is there a scripture that you say? Is there a quote that you say? Is there a routine that you have? Let us know in the comment section below, because this is much bigger than sport. You know, this is life. And on life, we're not always going to feel like ourselves. We're not always going to feel the greatest, but man, you know, we can still keep pushing if we don't focus on any other day but the one that's in front of us.
That's good.
So let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you got. We'd love to hear some of those opinions and thoughts in the comment section below. So this is episode number 9 of the Run Your Race show, and we're out.
We're out.